All right, people, welcome. I am Dave, and I am the political refugee. How are you? I've decided to rebrand. If you've landed on the channel since I did my rebranding, you may have noticed that the name of the channel has changed. I don't feel as though the word radical is an appropriate word for me. My personality, quite honestly, isn't radical. I am a peacemaker. I am a peace lover. I am a peacemonger. I don't believe in endless wars. I don't believe in the police state. I don't believe in police brutality. And I am not an angry mob, nor do I want to be a part of one. So that is why I changed the channel. Literally, I just went click and I changed my channel. The branding and rebranding, I know, is a pain. I've done it before. And so now I wanted to be very clear where I wanted to go as a channel in the midst of chaos and confusion. Here's my perspective. I don't believe everybody on the left is correct. I believe in some progressive ideas, but I don't believe everybody on the left is correct. I certainly don't believe everybody on the right is correct. And both neoliberals and neoconservatives, I don't believe they're correct. There may be a few areas where we can agree, or there is some areas where we might be able to compromise. But overall, I believe the entire political system here in the United States currently is acting against the people, both on the left and the right. And I know people on the right have good intentions and they mean well. I know people on the left have good intentions and they mean well. But violence is bad, and sticking up for the police no matter what is bad. I mean, why is it that people can't be nuanced? And this isn't a lesson or a video about centrism. This isn't a video about being the squishy moderate that doesn't believe in anything. This is a video about common decency and how we all should treat one another rather than assuming the worst in each other. And by the way, if you're a tribalist, you have no business being in Congress right now or being the president of the United States. Let me be clear. If you're somebody who just opposes Donald Trump because you're a Democrat and Democrats hate Republicans, then you are a fool. Likewise to people like Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham and others, and even Donald Trump to some degree. These are people that just oppose the other party. Why do you think a lot of us were intrigued by Tulsi Gabbard? Because she kind of offered another way. She offered an alternative to the bickering, the anger, the tone deafness. I'm not hearing you. What did you just say? This is what we get. The news media, they do it each day. Fox News does it to left-wingers. CNN does it to right-wingers. Nobody listens to each other. And nothing gets done. And it's a game. It's a political game, just like your favorite sports team. And I've made this case before, but we're in a time now where we need to be serious, and we need to put down all of the gear that we've purchased, your pom-poms and your letter jacket. Hey, look, man, I got the D on my jacket. I'm a Democrat. Okay, whatever. And by the way, this also applies to progressive folks who do YouTube channels who are constantly just documenting the obvious every single day. Your goal is to make the obvious sound important, and breaking news. Really? Breaking news? You know what's breaking news? A D sitting down with an R, or a P, progressive, sitting down with a C, conservative, and working to do something for everybody. That's breaking news. Okay? Not breaking news, Mitch McConnell is an asshole. Not breaking news, Nancy Pelosi, she's got her head up her ass. Okay? Those aren't breaking news stories. Those are obvious stories that can be covered in 10 seconds, but to devote your entire video platform to the obvious shows me that, you just want to be a YouTube star. Oh boy, I got clicks, I got views, look at all my subscribers. What's good for the country? What's good for the United States? What's good for the people who live here? Some modicum of cooperation is good. Instead of bailing out large financial institutions, we ought to be bailing out individual citizens. Now, I've made this case a million times. It just seems as though we're at a point now where we need to focus, and we're not focusing. Instead, we're doubling down on obvious and useless themes. We're doubling down, and we're not really addressing anything. You have your team, you feel confident about your team, you go down the list, you check it off. Whether you think about the moral implications of what you're thinking through, for instance, all cops are bad. Most cops are bad. Defund the police. What does that mean? What does that look like? How about we reprioritize our spending rather than going after a bunch of police officers, most of whom might not be so bad? How about, like COVID-19, we target the people who are really sick and we quarantine them? There's a theme for you. You quarantine these cops who have an illness. That's what you do. You don't make everybody wear a mask. You don't wear or make everybody stay indoors. You don't quarantine the entire police force, because eventually you're going to get in a car wreck and the police are going to show up first, and then they're going to call an EMT. Police have value. They're not always right, some of whom are really suspect in the way they view things. They are in a difficult profession where they see people doing bad things pretty much around the clock. So unless you're prepared to wear their shoes and go out on the beat, then shut up. Shut up, all right? And yes, there is another side of this equation. We've got videotape, clear videotape. And it's irrefutable what happened to George Floyd. So if you're thinking, oh, it's Antifa, or it's just agitators who invented all this stuff, Donald Trump thinks that the guy, 75-year-old guy who fell down on his head, he was overacting. Get out of your partisan bubble. If you're watching Fox News all the time, turn it off. If you're watching CNN all the time, turn it off. Better yet, don't even replace them with anything. Go do your own research. Go online and look at different stories from different perspectives, and then come up with your own conclusions. Look, I'm a guy who's trying to figure this out like everybody else. And what I've realized is I'm not right. I'm wrong more than I'm right. And I'm not a radical. I'm just a regular guy. I'm a husband, a father, I've got kids. I prefer to talk about music rather than politics. And so here I am, a political refugee. You know, my profile picture is Tom Hanks in the movie Castaway, trying to grab onto Wilson, soccer ball. That's how I feel. Wilson! Who is Wilson? Wilson is this thing that gives you comfort in your own life, and politics aren't going to do it. Politics are not your Wilson. All right? Your family, your friends, your hobbies, your faith, those are the things that will probably give you some comfort. Politics will not do it. That's why I'm a political refugee. I'm not really that radical. I am independent, but I'm not really radical. Hence the different direction. And what I've seen from both the left and the right during this entire meltdown makes me think that there've got to be other sane, normal human beings in this country that can say things like, violence bad, some cops bad. They both can be true. Not all cops bad and not all violence good. All right? There has to be somewhere where people can get together and see that, hey, maybe there are two sides to this story. Maybe cops that wake up every day risking their lives, going out into this jungle, maybe not all of them are bad. Maybe some of them are okay. On the other side of the equation, systemic racism is real. It's real. But both can be true. You don't have to be all or nothing at every issue. It's like abortion. Is abortion good? I don't think it's good. Ooh, that's controversial. I think it's a last resort, like going to war. It's a last resort, and people need to have balance. They have to have balance. They can't just throw in entirely down the list, check every box because you want to be part of a club or tribe. I'm not into tribal politics anymore. I'm done with it. I'm through. You want to play the game? Play the game. You're better off, you know what? You're better off joining like a poker club or a bridge club or fantasy football or whatever it is that you like, rather than joining the political club. Well, I'm in the club, and the club believes in systemic racism. Does it believe all cops are bad too? Well, of course. Balance. It's okay to think that there is systemic racism. I believe it. But I also believe that there are good people that are in law enforcement. So this is why. This is the tipping point issue for me. The violence around the country. Hey, Pasta, buddy, I love you, man. You do good stuff. I think you're a good guy. You're Italian. You probably cook or eat like nobody's business. You and I could sit down and we could enjoy a great meal together. But you know what? Don't give me crap that there's no violence. There's violence. It's everywhere because it wasn't at the rally you went to. What was the burning? What was the stuff going on around D.C.? Now, is the violence justified? I don't know. I don't think you burn crap down to get people's attention. I understand why it's happening. I don't think it's the right way to do it. It's not the way Martin Luther King did it. Oh, well, you know, we've moved beyond MLK. Really? Really? We've moved beyond Gandhi and Jesus and Martin Luther King, and now we're just so much better. Look, there were a lot of peaceful protests that were awesome. And I applaud those protests, but geez, man, don't tell me there wasn't violence. There's footage from every major city. I think it's somewhere in the middle, people. I don't think it's left, right. I think it's somewhere in the middle. The truth isn't what you think. So get your head out of your ass and look to find where the truth is. And don't ignore, because you watch Fox News 24/7, don't ignore stuff that happens on CNN. Not all of it is wrong, but most of it's wrong. Same with Fox News. Not all of it is wrong, but most of it might be wrong. Look, you can believe what you want to believe. You have your own conscience. But to lecture me and tell me, oh, it's only peaceful. No, sorry. You've got black-owned businesses that are getting destroyed. Anyone hear those tapes that were released where the mayor of, I think it was Minneapolis, was talking to council members? All of whom, by the way, are Democrats, probably somewhat progressive Democrats. And they're basically complaining to the mayor that their constituents now can't rebuild. They're devastated. They're afraid. Why would they be devastated and afraid if there was no violence? Was it made up? Was it photoshopped? Was it video shopped? Come on. All right. So for somebody who wants to be a peacemaker at this point, I'm getting a little, I don't know, ticked off here. You've got to figure out what's right for you. I say the truth isn't what you think it is. If you're a leftist, it's probably to the right of what you think. If you're a right-winger, it's probably to the left of what you think. We got to stop this crap. Polarization is an absolute disaster for getting anything done. Our country will never recover if we don't get on the same page on the big issues, on the core issues. You can make a decision whether you want to get on this team or that team or no team at all, or hold your nose and vote for somebody. But in the end, in your local community and in your own personal existence on planet Earth, you've got to be the change that you're advocating for. You've got, and it's not a cliche, you've got to be the person that lectures your family about, oh, well, the tape clearly shows that the police officer suffocated this guy with his knee for 8 minutes plus. That really happened. And if that doesn't stir your soul, then you don't have one. On the other side of the coin, though, there are police officers that go out daily and risk their lives to protect you. They're not all bad. Now, are they all role models? No. And maybe for the time being, the police aren't your role model. But there are some good people that are in law enforcement, and it would be stupid to say that there are not. But it's equally stupid to pretend that this doesn't exist. It's an Antifa plot. It's not an Antifa plot. I don't know, blaming China or Antifa or anybody for our problems is irresponsible, and it kicks the can down the road, as we've been doing now for generations. So this is my C shift in philosophy. I'm tired of the left. I'm tired of the right. I'm tired of it. Now, if you're a progressive, oh, I'm progressive, for progressive this, progressive that, progressive, advocate for issues and try to appeal to the people that you don't already own. All right, preaching to the choir is not going to do the trick. All right, and also making tough choices. If the political party that you're thinking is the only vehicle, meaning the Democrats, to get anything accomplished, and they're corrupt, then you've got to think Green or People's Party or something else. Stop telling me all these parties are dysfunctional, that are outside the Dems and the Repubs. Stop saying that if you're part of the problem because you say, oh, it's dysfunctional. It's only dysfunctional because you're declaring it dysfunctional. Seriously. Because if you got involved in that party, you could make it less dysfunctional. Maybe. And by the way, both the other political parties are very dysfunctional. Are they organized better? Yes. Are they more dysfunctional? No. All right. I've done enough here. I've spoken enough. This is why a lot of people loved Tulsi Gabbard. Just, again, want to inject her into this at the end. Because she didn't describe things in these terms. She didn't say, hi, I'm a democratic socialist, and I conjure up images of authoritarianism. Even if I'm not an authoritarian, just the words democratic socialism, she knew. She knew if she wanted to bring in all Americans, she had to actually talk to all Americans. You're talking to your little group, your little niche. Look, your YouTube channel is great. It's growing by leaps and bounds. All of those people who are angry are tuning in so you can fuel their anger with more of your rhetoric. And yet, there are people that can't find jobs. There are people that are scared in their own neighborhoods. There are people with insurmountable student loan debt. There are people that don't trust the police. You can go down a list of things right now. Oh, and pretty much everybody mistrusts politicians, right? That's why the celebrity culture is so popular, because you get the celebrity, right? You get somebody who's famous and who is part of your escape from reality. You wonder why pop culture is so powerful? It's because reality is so detrimental. That's why it's so powerful. So, again, you can do what you want to do with your time. I would invest it in your family. Number one, your faith if you have one, your family, and your local community. Advocate in your local community. Whoever's running for Congress where you live, or state rep, or state senate, figure out who they are and work for the change that you want. By the way, if you're going to the ballot box thinking that if you vote Democrat, they're going to fix this problem with race, you've had Obama, Clinton, even Jimmy Carter. I don't know if race relations got better under any of those presidents. I don't know if any of that was relevant to your local community. You got to get busy, and you've got to be the change that you want. This political stuff is just hope. It's just wishful thinking. Like people in high places are going to do your bidding. No, until you get a workaround, which would be a third party that is serious about defeating these other two parties. Till you get that workaround, these two parties are two sides of the same corporate coin. It's true. And if you're thinking that, hey, if I just vote for this candidate or that candidate, or if I become a member of this party, I unregistered. I am now unenrolled. I'm an independent. I'm a true radical independent, even though I'm more of a political refugee. I'm not really radical. That's why this channel has retained a new image. Yay for me. All right. And if you want to, subscribe to the channel, watch the videos, that helps me out. If you want to waste your time on this, great. What I'd also advise you, as somebody who's watched these other political channels, not to just throw shade at everybody, but man, oh man, all they are is tabloid TV. It's mostly tabloid TV. Kim Iverson, I think, provides information. There are a few channels that actually deal with information. Most of the other channels are throwing up headlines like, breaking news! So-and-so just said this about someone else. Oh boy, can't wait to tune in. Groundbreaking, I better get the premium membership for that. All right, so I'm kind of at my wit's end. I want to say a big shout out to my friend Charles. He is the vigilant, independent, good guy, blue-collar guy. He's throwing his hands up in the air because he sees that the left, I think is what he's saying, the left is completely unhinged. The right is bad, the left is unhinged. There's nowhere to go. He wants a few of these progressive things, but I don't think he wants all of this weird baggage that comes along with it, where you can't think or reason, where you just have to go down the list of things and agree on everything. I'm putting words in his mouth. He's a good guy. He's been on my show. I've been on his show. But I think there are going to be more and more political refugees like myself who look at both sides of it, and just throw their hands up and go, what the hell is this? And it's been this way, by the way, for a long time. I think this has been the case since Bush versus Gore, where essentially it was a tie, and the Supreme Court made a decision and gave it to Bush. 500 votes, I think it was, in Florida. I mean, he could have legitimately won, but it had to be, the Supreme Court. I think since then, we've been completely divided in a way which is getting unhealthier. Now we're a generation removed from that, and it's only getting worse. And now we've got police brutality. We got COVID-19, which is looking more and more like it was overblown. The World Health Organization, which again, Trump doesn't like, but yet they came out and said, but then they clarified today or something that you can't really get this if you're asymptomatic, or you can't pass it that easily. So by the way, if you're wearing a mask outside, that's really dumb. I'm just saying that you need fresh air. Go intake the oxygen. If you want to wear a mask inside a retail business or something, go outside, breathe the air. God made this air fresh. We're the ones that are destroying the air. And you need air. Forget about what Fauci is saying. Go get some fresh air. All right, that's how I'm going to conclude this. Again, the political refugee, not to be concerned or confused, concerned. I'm not concerned at all. Not to be confused with the political vigilante, which is Graham Elwood. I am Dave, and this is my channel, and I am the political refugee. See you soon.